Today on First Cup, we'll talk about today's episode of Martial Arts Radio. I got some comments in the Facebook group that I'll address, some questions, and some things on health. Has nothing to do with this book. And see what else you all bring to the table. Stick around. We roll in right now. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Today is Monday. It is December 13th, 2021. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. How are you? How was your weekend? I want to know. And I rarely get information, feedback from people who don't watch live. We get some people come in, they say things, they leave comments in places, and I just want to remind all of you. I want to hear from all of you. I truly do. Find me on social media, email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com, watch live, watch later, listen later. Doesn't matter. I make the show for all of you. And me. Make the show for us. Good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Tommy. Well, I spent pretty much the entire weekend doing stuff around the house. So much so that I think by 4 o'clock when I was done, I hadn't left the house and I was at like 9,000 steps on this thing. So that gives you an idea. Good morning, Mark. It was just all steps. I was all over the place. But guess what? The garage is organized and I can park in it. Oh, so much better. And I cleaned the pantry and I cleaned the laundry room and I cleaned up the kitchen and the bedroom. You ever have a room that's been a bit chaotic and then you clean it up and it just feels better? I love that feeling. It just feels better. When everything has a home and it's put away, it just feels better. I've got paperwork from my father's estate all over this room right now. And eventually I'll get rid of that. Oh, look at everybody else coming in. Good morning, Dennis. Good morning, Andy. Good morning, Liz. Good luck on the new job, Andy. Here, where's my banner? I got to swap my banner. Turn that off. And turn that on. There we go. All right. Wow, look at all this stuff going on. All these people. But it was nice. It was a good way to spend a weekend. I also, what did I do? I'm kind of running it back in my head. Did an hour of what we call phase testing in Superfoot for the folks who are getting ready for their first degree black belt test. They have to show up to 3 tests over specific elements of the criteria. And I had a holiday event I had committed to, an ugly sweater party. Some of you may have seen the picture on Saturday. And so I had time to do 1 hour, but there was 2 hours of testing in it. And it was good. It's good bouncing around, throwing kicks, throwing punches. And actually, when I went to the gym last night, I took the time. I've only done this a couple times. I set up the heavy bag, which is annoyingly high. So I have to put it on a box and then hook it up and then move the box. But I spent about 15, 20 minutes kicking on the bag. My arms are sore from the testing. My biceps from throwing all those punches. I don't throw a lot of jabs when I'm sparring on my own. Good morning, Kelly. Kelly says, good morning. Every room is chaos. I work better in chaos, or so I tell myself. I have found for me, and I'm not saying this is for everyone, but for me, my office is the room that gets to be the most chaotic because it's small and there's a lot that has to happen in there. There is a dramatic difference in my mood working in that room when it's chaotic and when it's not. If it's chaotic, I'm unhappy. It doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what's been going on. If I have to go sit in there and it's chaotic, I'm unhappy. So it is chaotic because there's a bunch of stuff that got moved in there this weekend. I will spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It won't take long before I sit down, putting things away, giving them their own spot. And trying to set up a nice place for me to work, right? I don't know if we understand this explicitly. I don't know if there's data to back it up, but something about having a good place to work seems to make sense to me. Why would someone want the corner office? Well, you get to see outside more natural light. Doesn't it seem to make sense? Maybe it's just a personal benefit, but I can't imagine that if you are happier, that you don't do better work. I know I do better work when I'm happier. Anything else happened this weekend to tell you? I don't think so. No. How about today? Today is all meetings and more meetings than normal. In fact, there's a meeting that I might put myself on mute and eat. Otherwise, I don't know if I'm going to eat. Yeah. Good morning, Eric. Tommy's suggesting the book Clutter's Last Stand. I have not read it. I know nothing about it. Yeah, all meetings starting at 9:30. And then I think I have 30-minute gaps in between some of them. Some are all clients. I think it's all clients. It's okay. And they're all going to ask me to do work. And some of them are going to want it done today. And that's probably not going to happen. Well, it's Monday, episode day. I'm going to switch over here. This might be faster. What episode do we have today? That's my YouTube account. We got to switch. Like every other day on YouTube, we get another subscriber or two. It's growing. I think that's pretty cool. I'm not seeing it in this view. So we got to go over here. I remember when YouTube wasn't complicated. It's not really complicated now, but it's getting more complicated. Oh, Sensei Kevin Como. Yes. Just went up. I have to remind myself of this episode because we recorded this weeks ago. Reminding. Yeah, okay. Karate Guy. The day we recorded this was his 39th anniversary training. How fun is that? Nope, that's the wrong tab. Okay, I'm back. Can you imagine what would happen if we had a producer? I'd be walking around in my bathrobe at like 6:15, and somebody would knock on the door, and I would let them in, and we would exchange pleasantries, and I'd go, and they would just sit over there, and they would press buttons, and I would sit here, and I would have less to do. It'd be weird. Okay. All right. I think I'm out of things to ramble about. Go check out that episode. Don't take anything. It's episode 666, which somebody had to end up with. And I feel a little bad. I thought about skipping it, but I thought that was silly, so we didn't. Check it out. Nothing devilish about the episode. I'm going to pour more coffee. This might be one of those days that I have way too much coffee. Oh, here's a question for you. Because I've got calls with some of you about these things. If you've been watching or listening to First Cup for a while, you know that I'm going to start what I am calling touring. I'm going to start traveling around doing seminars. If you want me to put you on the list. And I've heard from some of you, and you've asked me in different ways, and I'm just going to ask you, email me, please, so I can start a file of people who want me to come out, because I'm going to be getting some help from someone to organize, arrange, communicate, set up dates, all that. So it would be helpful to me to have all of those names written down. So if you can email me, jeremy@whistlekick.com, that would be great. Thanks. I got 3 trials coming, three initial ones to make sure I work out the kinks. Because I got a concept. It's a little different. Okay, let's dig in. So over on the Facebook group, which you can see right. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I can't find it. Here we go. There it is. Oh, before we do that, I'll tell you something we did. Okay. I might have told you about this. I did. Never mind. I talked about this on Friday, the whistlekick.com/family page. Never mind. I told you. Okay. All right. So back on Friday, we had a question come in from Daniel about electrolytes, rehydration, and things like that. And Josh Blum jumped in. Many of you don't know, Josh is a doctor. So I agree with about 95% of what Josh says. And the part where I don't agree, I want you, I don't want to say it. I'm trying to find a way to say it because I absolutely respect Josh. He is a friend. I think very highly of him. And I do hide behind the fact I am not a doctor. He's a doctor. So in that sense, you should listen to him. Most of my knowledge on electrolytes and hydration comes out of sports performance, not general life. And there is a difference between functional and ideal. And I think I can leave it there. But he does go into the science pretty deeply on it, and I appreciate him doing that. One of my favorite things about what I do, how I do, etc., is that I very rarely say, this is the way to do things. I offer my opinion. I offer suggestions. But at the end of the day, you've got to do things your own way. You've got to trust your own gut. And it's interesting to me because we live in this weird time where we expect everyone who is I don't love this word, but personality, or even not, everyone who says something, we expect that their claim is bold and brash and without nuance, and they don't have space for other people to think differently about things. And that's not me. That's never been me. I could take every one of these chapters in this book. And by the way, hardcover came in. Took a while, but it's here. I have a hardcover book out, you guys. Isn't that crazy? I could go through every one of those chapters and I could play devil's advocate. I could come up with a situation. I could come up with a personality type where certain aspects aren't going to work. I could do that. That's a waste of time. Diminishing rate of return. So when we put something up, when I put something up, when they say something here that applies to 20% of people, I'll say this might work for some. If I think it's going to work for 50, 60, 70, I might say most. If I'm not sure, but I have an idea, I might say many. It is rare that I say all. You know where all comes into play? Physics. Math. That's about it. Assuming you were operating in base 10, under the principles that we know in our day-to-day lives, 2 plus 2 is always 4. It is. Now you can play some trickery in there, make 2 plus 2 equals something else, but you're going to bend one of those rules or break one of those rules. Physics is the same thing. But when we talk about people and these complex systems of people interacting with each other in the world, and you can't say all. I don't say all. I try to make sure everybody knows that I don't say all. I don't work in absolutes. The world is too detailed for that. But I will say some, many, most, nearly all. That's just how I am. Liz says, I received my hardcover yesterday. It was very exciting. Nice. I'm surprised that the hardcover isn't more. The amount Amazon charges us to make that versus the paper book, it's not. I mean, the difference is we're passing it on. But typically, if you go buy a paperback book in a store, although it's usually bigger, right? Like hardcover. Is this the same size as a typical hardcover book? I think they're usually a little bigger. Maybe not. I don't buy books. I haven't bought a book other than a whistlekick book in a long time. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that there was something that came in overnight that I just wanted to respond to, and the person who made the point is unlikely to ever see this, but if they do, it's okay. All right. So going back over to Facebook. Frank's got some questions here about probiotics. In recent years, there's been a lot of talk about gut bacteria, so I thought I would ask some questions. Before we go there, why do we care? Okay. Over the last few years, we've come to realize that the composition of bacteria in various places in our body has an actual impact on us in our lives. Just by throwing antibiotics around, we have messed some people up. They have a place. But we know that when the flora, the microbiome, we can use fancy words here, in your body is in good balance, good things happen. When it's not, bad things happen. I believe we've known this for a really long time, but maybe not in the detailed way science says it now. Trust your gut. Why would we say that? Because second to the brain, your gut, if we think of that region down there, has the most influence over the body in terms of, or no, that's not the right way to phrase it. Most nerve connections, something like that. Okay, I might be getting this wrong. But the bottom line is it has influence, a lot of influence. And so it's worth understanding how it works. We are spending a ton of time and research trying to figure it out. We barely understand it. And it's either by weight or count. We're something like 1/4, 1/3 bacteria. It's a lot. There's a lot of bacteria in our body. And if they're healthy and they're doing their job right, we're doing our job right. All right. So there's the primer. Frank's question. Thank you, Frank. What do you think of probiotic supplements? I'm not sure. Years ago, it was all about probiotic supplements, and then a lot of data started coming out saying probiotics don't generally survive digestion to make it through. In fact, there is a ton of early success being shown with providing probiotics in the other direction. And I'm not going to be more explicit than that. There's also been some really fantastic research on transferring material in the other direction from a healthy person to a non-healthy person, and the results of that being pretty remarkable. If probiotic supplements were less expensive, I'd probably be more in on them. I've shifted, let's see, where are the other two questions? Make sure I'm not going out of order. Okay. I've shifted more from the probiotic concept to the prebiotic concept. The idea that if you provide good foods that the little critters will use for fuel, and you are eating a good, healthy diet, that things will fall into balance. That's my theory. On the prebiotic food side, we're talking about anything with fiber. We're talking about avocados. We're talking about vegetables. We're talking about fruit, not so much juice, but like the right things with fiber to them. And if you eat those, you'll probably be okay. Is getting tested once in a while a good thing? Yeah. It's probably the least pleasant. No, it's not. It's kind of the most awkward sample that one can provide, but at least you get to do it at home. So it's worth doing. And depending on who you are and what you got going on, it could be something that you do periodically. I'm a big fan of testing and checking how things are going. Nobody's commenting on this subject. I'm not surprised. You guys. Next, what are my favorite probiotic foods? There are really only a few when you think about it. It's anything fermented. It's, you could call cheese probiotic. It's not really. Yogurt falls in that camp. Sauerkraut, kimchi. Part of my lunch every day, I make my own sauerkraut or kimchi, and I don't use fish sauce. They're more or less the same thing to me. It's just, what do I put in it? And I just go in. I have a big jar that's already done, and it's in the fridge, and I go in with a big fork and eat it, and helps keep me healthy. I've got in my fermentation crock on the counter, it's a bunch of turnips and Jerusalem artichokes fermenting. Those will be done at the end of the year. I made something similar. Kind of a Jerusalem artichoke coleslaw. Just stuff like that. It doesn't have to be something you do every day. But doing it once in a while is a good thing. It's good for your body, Oh, comments. Here we go. Jenny says, I tried probiotics at the suggestion of my doctors early in my investigation into my digestive issues. I noticed a difference in the beginning, but it didn't last. I don't take them anymore, and I don't miss it. Good morning, Stacy. Stacy says, just woke up, missed the topic. Oof, running so late. Tommy says that he experienced the same thing, and Jenny's saying that fermented foods are supportive to digestion. And you can ferment it. Here's the thing. Okay. So people say, I don't like, or this costs a lot of money, or whatever it is. If you learn how to lacto-ferment food, which is basically you cut it up, put it in the dark, you cover it, and you put salt water in it. It really is that easy. You can lacto-ferment anything. You can lacto-ferment any vegetable. You can lacto-ferment. There are certain fruits that people lacto-ferment. There's a lot of different ways. But once you figure out how to do it, I bought a huge crock. It's like 5 gallons. It's massive because I make a bunch at a time. I do it a couple times a year and I've got all I need. But doesn't it go bad? No, because the original reason that lacto-fermentation came along is it was a form of preservative. So I throw it in jars and throw it in the fridge, and I just have a bit each day. Stacy's hardcover book arrived on Saturday as well. Look at all these books coming. I'm not sure how I feel about 2 people getting it before me, but that's okay. And are there probiotic drinks? Yeah, and they tend to be yogurt based, or basically yogurt, kefir, however you say it. I would call a probiotic beverage. It's a fermented drink, lacto-fermented drink. Your yogurt ones. I've seen others that fall into the same category of supplement, and they're too much money. If you eat a healthy and varied diet, you should be fine. You really should. And if you're not eating a healthy and varied diet, you're probably better off figuring out why and going from there. We all know when things are working well. Doing a little bit of investigation, whether it's journaling what you eat or having some testing done to figure out why things are not working well, is worthwhile. I know when I eat certain things or have alcohol, this is going to mess me up a little bit. But I'm making that choice. And then I spend the next day putting the pieces back together. Eric says, I feel, at least for myself, movement plays a big part in overall gut health, coupled with a wide variety of good foods. Yeah. I put together, and I'm not going to show it. Actually, I'm not going to show it right now because we're almost done. Years ago, I put together what I call a health pyramid. Most of us grew up with the food pyramid, which we now know to be complete and utter BS and not an accident as it was. But that's a whole other conspiracy theory that I will talk about offline with people. One of the things on the pyramid is movement. Movement is not the same as exercise. Movement assists with digestion. Exercise does not. If you are moving and you're relaxed about it, digestion keeps going. This is why going for a walk after you eat just instinctively feels so good. Going for a run after you eat, nobody wants to do that. What happens if you eat a bunch and then you go do a bunch of hard exercise? Right? Why does that happen? Because your body is saying, wait a second, I got to pick one of these 2 things to do. And digestion takes a tremendous amount of energy. So it's almost like if we just take a big step back and think about how things feel and we pay attention to our bodies, that it tells us what we should be doing. Crazy. Jenny says, food is the first key to health that should be investigated when something is wrong, then look at lifestyle. Usually, I will agree. It is the first place I look for most people if they come to me with some kind of weird, complex problem. But it's usually the answer is usually the result of food or movement, specifically lack of movement in a particular direction, plane. All right. Good questions. Good conversation. I love talking about this stuff. I think you guys know that. And I wonder if you all are going to be less quiet tomorrow. This is the quietest it's been. You know what? Daniel's not here this morning. He usually gets you all riled up. I wonder if that's it. Okay. Go check out today's episode of Martial Arts Radio. Drop some comments. Help us share the show. If you want to support us, remember, Patreon or the code FirstCup15 at whistlekick.com. And if you want the full list of all the ways that you can help us, free, easy, paid, less easy, everything in between, whistlekick.com/family. It's a brand new page. There are no links to it. You have to go directly. Why? because over time we will start adding things to it for the people who are most supportive. It'll be kind of like a free version of Patreon. Okay, that's kind of the direction it's going to go. You have to pay to get into Patreon. That's not going to change. But there are things that we can do to thank and reward the people who are willing to check on us and what we're doing and invest some of their time in help and support. whistlekick.com/family. Why family? Because I figure if you're willing to go type that in, you're probably family. At least in the broad martial arts way that I'm using it. I hope that you'll leave me some questions and comments tomorrow on the Facebook page, facebook.com/firstcupwithjeremy. If you watch later, thank you. If you listen later, thank you. If you're here live, thank you. I hope that you have a fantabulous day, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Peace.